Alright everyone, this is Zero Budget Geek and welcome to the Kickstarter preview of Pages of War. Please bear in mind that this is a Kickstarter preview, so the components and the artwork and everything are subject to change. In Pages of War, you take the role of a bard of one of the four races of the western lands of the continent of Murghingale and compete with the bards of the other three races to tell the best story of strength, glory, and conquest. The goal of the game is to create strong chapters comprised of different combinations of heroes from your deck to attack the monarchs and generals of the other races of the other players. You are immediately eliminated from the war for victory if both your king and queen are destroyed. However, eliminated players are still an active part of gameplay and can subtly influence the outcome. The last player remaining is the winner. Each player is going to begin the game with a different pre-constructed deck of one of the four different races of the game. There are Elves, Orcs, Humans, and the Dragkins. Now, each of the four decks contains 30 cards. You have 5 monarch cards. There's your king and queen that you need to protect. You don't want them to get killed. You have jacks that are basically generals. You can use them for special abilities, but you also use them to protect your king and queen. You have 3 ace cards, which are essentially special tactics that you can use, and then the rest of your cards are numbered cards. They're basically your troops and infantry of different types that you're going to use to protect your kingdom and also attack the other players' kingdoms. Here we have a typical monarch card. In the upper left hand corner is the type. So here we actually have a queen. If it's a K, it'll be a king, or if J, it'll be a jack. And then there'll be a number in a circle. That's its power. So all of the kings and queens are always 15. The jacks are different numbers. And then in here you have the name and the history of this monarch. There's all kinds of flavor in here, but most of this is flavor text. And down at the bottom in a text box is a special ability that you can use. It'll depend on the situation, but usually this is activated when this monarch is turned face up. Here we have one of the hero cards, and they're very similar. Up here they have a number in a circle. That is their point total that is used in combat. Underneath that there'll be a type symbol, and there's 5 different symbols in this game. There is an axe, a sword, wings, bows, and spears. If your creature is attacking and one of these opposing types are in the defending chapter, then you'll get a +2 bonus. So it's important to keep that out. There's a reference card here for easy reference. And then down at the bottom of the card is a text box, is special abilities that you can activate with that character. You have to read each one to know what it does. But remember, these take actions to do. So during your turn, you're going to be taking actions. If you want to perform this ability, it takes an action. But you actually can perform an action and attack in the same turn unless that action requires you to discard the hero. And last, we have the ace cards. They have a big A in a circle, and then they have a big text box, and you just need to read it to know what it does. The different ace cards do different things. They're generally very powerful effects. You play the card and then you discard it. Now, ace cards, you can play them at any time. They don't cost an action, so they're very, very powerful. So you don't want to use them needlessly or lose them needlessly. So to set up for a game, each player is going to take their 5 monarch cards, the king, queen, and the 3 jacks, and they're going to put them in a row face down in front of them. You can put them face down in whatever order you choose. So you can have your queen, over here, and maybe the king on the end. You can do it however you want, but you do this in secret so that your opponents don't know where your king and queen is. They're mixed in among the 3 jacks. So each player is going to do that, set up their 5 face down monarchs. The rest of the cards of your deck are going to just be shuffled together to form your draw pile. Next, you're going to take the top 3 cards of your newly shuffled deck, and without looking at them, you're going to put those 3 face down in front of you. Those are spoils of war. Those are cards that if your opponent defeats the group protecting them, your opponent will be able to steal those cards and use them against you. After you set up your spoils, you will take the next 3 cards and put them face up on top of those spoils. If you happen to draw an ace card, which is essentially a tactic, you would actually put the ace on the bottom of your deck and draw the next card. So you want to make sure, what you're trying to make sure is that you have 3 hero cards on top of each spoils. They're basically protecting it. Now, these cards that are on top of the spoils of war are called chapters. You're going to have multiple heroes in a chapter, but collectively that's what they refer to as a single chapter. So all the players are going to go ahead and set up that way. Here we have a setup for 2 players. So here we have my 5 monarchs, my chapters with the spoils of war. There's my opponent of 5 monarchs, his spoils of war and his chapters, and the 2 draw decks. Then you're gonna choose a player to be the start player, and you're gonna give him this torch card. When you have the torch, you are the active player. Now let's talk about the phases of your turn. Well, at the beginning of the turn, you're going to draw cards. You're going to draw up to 3 cards. So we start off with 0 cards, so we're going to draw 3 cards. If you already had 3 or more cards in your hand, you won't draw anything. If you had like 2 cards, you would only draw 1 card. So you draw up to 3 unless you have 3 or more. Next, we go into the main area of your turn is the action phase. During your action phase, you'll be able to perform up to 3 actions. You can perform each action multiple times if you want, but you cannot perform these actions while you're attacking. They have to be before, after attack, and each of your chapters that you have in play will have an opportunity to attack if they wish. But remember, 3 actions, and you can kind of do them whatever order you want. You can even do multiples of the same actions. Let's talk about the different actions you can do. As an action, you can choose to create a new chapter. You simply announce that you're going to do it. Take the top card of your deck, place it face down without looking at it, and then take the next card and put it face up on top of that card. Now you got to be careful, because if the card that the face up card is an ace, that card will get discarded. So you want to be a little bit careful. You want to protect your ace cards because they are very powerful. So creating a new chapter is one of the actions you can perform. As an action, you can use one of your hero's abilities. In the text box is the hero ability. You'll read the ability and perform it if it's applicable. You can perform the same hero ability multiple times, but each time that you do it, it's going to cost a separate action. Another action you can perform is a monarch effect. You can choose one of your monarchs and activate it. You turn it face up, thereby revealing it, but then you'll get to use the ability of that card. Now the monarch abilities are generally very powerful, but you're revealing where they are. So even if you don't reveal your king or queen, if you reveal, say, like a jack, you're showing that, that's not where your king and queen is. So you need to be careful with those, but they are powerful effects. So another action is using a monarch effect. Another action that you can perform is adding a spoil to an existing chapter. So why would you want to do that? Because that's potentially giving more rewards to the other player. Well, a single chapter can only have 3 heroes on it per spoil that's on it. So if we only have 1 spoil, we'd only be able to have 3 cards. If we put 2 spoils, now we can have 6 cards in that chapter. And conversely, another action you can do is add a hero. Take any hero from your hand and place it on top of the topmost card in a chapter. So an action is taking a hero from your hand and placing it in one of the existing chapters. Remember, you can only have 3 heroes per spoil in a chapter. And the final option that you have for your turn is called turn the pages. If you don't like the cards that you have in hand, it doesn't matter how many you have, you can just take those cards, shuffle it back into your deck, and then draw 3 new cards. You can do that multiple times in a turn, but remember, each time that you do it, it costs an action. Okay, now let's talk about attacking. So you're gonna have different chapters in play, and you can use them to attack your opponent's monarch row. Now, each chapter can only attack once each, and you can only do a total of 3 attacks in your round. So if you have more than 3 chapters, not all of them are going to get to attack. But remember, they each attack only once. Also, if you have more than 2 players, so if we had a 3rd player here, we can split up the attacks between the different players. They don't all have to be to the same player. Okay, so the first thing you do when you're attacking is declaration. You're going to choose one of your chapters. So we'll choose this chapter here. That's a 6. And we're going to announce that it's going to be attacking the monarch role. And we choose which card in particular it's going to be attacking. So let's say we attack the center. We're going to choose to attack that card there. So our opponent has the opportunity to either let that attack happen, or they can use one of their chapters to defend. So if the attack is not defended against, the monarch will be flipped over, and then we're going to compare the point total of the chapter that's attacking to the point total of the monarch. If the numbers are equal, it's a stalemate and nothing happens. If the point total is higher, then it depends if it's a jack or not. If a jack is defeated in combat, then the jack is actually going to go back to that player's hand. They're going to get to use it. But if it was a king or queen, they are immediately removed from the game. Now, if the monarch's number is higher than the attacking chapter, that chapter will be royally defeated. This means that all the cards in that chapter are discarded and your opponent collects the spoils of war. Now your opponent may choose to defend it, and usually they will. In this case, you're going to compare the point totals of the different chapters. Now remember, there's probably going to be multiple cards, so you're going to have to really look at that. And then because of the types, there's going to be different modifiers, so you're going to add that in as well. Now, if both chapters end up with the same point total, they're going to be a stalemate, regardless of how many cards are in either one. If the point totals are the same, it's a stalemate and nothing happens. If the attacker's points are higher and the card count is different, so you have to have a higher total and have more cards in your chapter, then you defeat the other chapter. The other chapter will lose cards equal to the difference in numbers. So if this chapter with 2 cards is attacking this one and defeats it, let's say, because this is actually a 9, that's not a good example. Let's say this one here is a 2. So I'm attacking with a total of 8 versus a 2. So my point totals are higher, and we have different amounts of cards. I have 2 cards. He only has 1. He's going to lose the difference. I have 1 more card then, so he's going to lose 1 card. But because he has no more guys there, then I will collect the spoil of war. Now, if the attacker's points are lower, then, you know, so for instance, I mean, usually you don't want to be in this situation, but let's say I attack with these right here, the 8 total versus a 9. Well, the 9 is higher, so I'm going to lose cards equal to the difference. Now here I have 2 cards. They only have 1, but since they beat me, the difference is 1. I would have to lose 1 card, so I'd probably discard the lowest value one. Now, throughout all this, remember your ace cards. Ace cards can be played anytime during your turn, regardless of whether you're attacking or not. They can be done pretty much anytime. Some of the aces will even allow you to use them on your opponent's turn, but you have to read the ace card to see what the effect is, and it'll let you know if you can do that or not. Now, when you play an ace for its action, it does not use up one of your 3 actions, so you can play more than 1 ace per turn and still be able to do your other actions. But unfortunately, once you use an ace, after you apply the effects, it is going to get discarded. And so once you've performed all your actions and any attacks that you want to do, you're going to pass the turn. You're going to take the torch and pass it to the next player, and then they will begin the game, and so on and so forth. Now, as we've mentioned before, once a player's king and queen are defeated, that player is essentially eliminated from the game. The cards are removed, but then everything stops. Everything grinds to a halt. Now, the player is not completely removed from the game, but they pretty much can't win at that point. Then all the players are going to take any remaining monarchs they have, they're going to flip them face down, and they're going to take all the cards in play, and any cards that were discarded, they're going to collect them all and shuffle them up, and you're going to set up as if for another full game. If one of those cards, if you have a jack that was in your discard pile out, you can actually add that back to your monarch roll, and then the game is going to start over from there. The player that's been eliminated by having their king and queen killed is not completely out of the game. What they're going to do while everybody is resetting up, they're going to take all their monarch cards, all their jacks, queens, kings, and even their aces, and they're gonna remove them from the game, and they're just gonna have all their regular hero cards. And then every time that the torches pass from one player to another, they can look through their entire list of cards. They can go and pick a card, and they can add that card to any chapter that's on the board, so they can sort of play spoiler and help out, you know, one group over another, or, you know, maybe work at just trying to keep things balanced. And so that is Pages of War. Now the Kickstarter is not quite ready yet, but it is coming very soon. I believe it's going to be August 1st or about there. Keep checking back. The link will be down in the description box for you to check it out. If you have any comments, please let me know. If you like this video, hopefully you did, give me a like and consider subscribing to see more videos that I've done. So if you think this is a game that you enjoy, man, just, you know, check it out and support it on Kickstarter. So guys, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, I'll see you soon.